Ron Howard's life began under the bright, unforgiving lights of Hollywood. Born on March 1, 1954, in Duncan, Oklahoma, he was the son of two working actors, Rance and Jean Howard. Long before he could form full sentences, Ron was already part of the Hollywood machine, stepping onto film sets instead of playgrounds. At just 18 months old, he appeared in his first film, marking the beginning of a childhood spent in the shadow of cameras and scripts. The Howards moved to California in the late 1950s, chasing the promise of television. Ron's early years were filled with the noise of crew members, the haze of cigarette smoke, and the stark reality of life on set. His world, while surrounded by love, was also a world of adult responsibilities and harsh lessons that no child should have to learn. A golden cage, the price of fame. By the time Ron was 6, he had already become a household name as Opie Taylor on The Andy Griffith Show. While millions of viewers embraced him as America's beloved son, Ron was navigating a much lonelier reality behind the scenes. His childhood was a golden cage, protected and loved, yet confined by the expectations of his fame. California law required him to study for 3 hours a day, but his classmates were actors, not kids from the neighborhood. His only friends were the crew members, and even they were often too busy to offer the companionship he craved. Ron later described this time as isolating, with moments of joy shadowed by the pressure to always be Opie for the public. While the world saw him as the ideal son, he was unable to experience the simple pleasures of childhood: play, friendship, and freedom. The burden of youth. Struggling to grow up. As Ron entered adolescence, the pressure to stay in character became overwhelming. He faced an industry that refused to let go of the image of Opie. By 13, Ron had grown into a young man, but he couldn't shed the role that had defined him since childhood. Casting directors told him he was too recognizable and not quite right for other roles. He felt trapped, unable to break free from the identity that had been forced upon him. During the brief run of The Monroes in 1966, he hoped for a fresh start, but the show was canceled after just one season. The experience left him devastated, feeling like he had failed. Ron's struggle to break away from his past shaped his career and personal life, setting the stage for the internal battles he would fight for years to come. Happy Days and the search for identity. In 1974, Ron Howard found another opportunity to make his mark on television with Happy Days, playing Richie Cunningham, but the role only deepened the internal conflict he had been grappling with. While the show's popularity soared, Ron felt sidelined as the spotlight shifted to the character of the Fonz. Despite his dedication to the role, Ron found himself questioning his place in the industry. It was during this time that Ron began studying film at the University of Southern California. For the first time, he realized that his passion wasn't just in front of the camera, it was behind it. He discovered a new way of seeing the world, understanding stories not as a participant, but as a creator. This realization marked the beginning of his journey to reshape his life and career. From actor to director. A new chapter. By 1982, Ron had transitioned from a young actor to a talented director with his debut film, Night Shift. Though the film was a modest success, it proved that Ron had the ability to lead a set and create something meaningful. He followed it up with Splash in 1984, a surprise hit that earned over $69 million at the box office. At last, Ron Howard was no longer just the former child star trying to escape the shadow of Opie Taylor. He was a respected director, capable of creating films that resonated with audiences. His career continued to blossom with the founding of Imagine Entertainment in 1985. With his new company, Ron produced films that would go on to define a generation of storytelling, including Apollo 13 and A Beautiful Mind, cementing his legacy in Hollywood. The cost of success, a relentless pursuit. Despite his newfound success as a director, Ron Howard's life was far from easy. The pressure to continue succeeding weighed heavily on him. He worked tirelessly, often putting in 16-hour days, driven not by greed, but by fear. Fear of being remembered only as Opie. Fear that one mistake could undo everything he had worked for. His days were consumed by location scouts, meetings with executives, and hours spent in editing rooms, perfecting every frame. By the time he arrived home, his children were already asleep, and his wife, Cheryl, would wait in the quiet darkness for his return. The exhaustion from the relentless pace left little room for personal connection, and Ron found himself growing distant from the people who mattered most. The pressure to succeed had come at the cost of his personal life. Fame and family, a struggle for balance. By the time Apollo 13 was released in 1995, Ron Howard had reached the pinnacle of his career. The film grossed over $350 million worldwide and earned 9 Academy Award nominations. But behind the accolades, Ron was grappling with personal turmoil. His mother, Jean, was in declining health, and his younger brother, Clint, was battling addiction. Despite his professional achievements, Ron felt isolated, unable to escape the emotional weight of his personal life. He had built a career that had brought him wealth and recognition, but at what cost? Success had isolated him from the very people who had always been there for him. The realization that no amount of fame could protect him from life's inevitable struggles was a painful truth Ron had to face. The pain of loss. A cruel reality. In 2000, Ron Howard's mother, Jean, passed away. The grief he felt was unlike any professional setback. His success in Hollywood had given him everything except time with the people who truly mattered. He had missed countless moments, always choosing work over family. Sitting beside his mother's deathbed, Ron couldn't help but reflect on all the times he had chosen Hollywood over personal connection. He was surrounded by colleagues offering condolences, but their words felt hollow in the face of such a profound loss. The realization that he had spent so many years building a career while neglecting his family left him with a deep sense of regret. Success, he realized, had come at the cost of time he would never get back. Clint's struggles, a brother's battle. While Ron was mourning the loss of his mother, his brother Clint was fighting a battle of his own. Clint Howard, a talented actor in his own right, had struggled with addiction for years. Despite Ron's efforts to help him, addiction proved to be a formidable adversary. There were moments when Ron thought he could save his brother, that if he worked harder or built a stronger support system, Clint would find his way back. But addiction doesn't care about fame or wealth. It consumes everything in its path. When Clint collapsed one night and was rushed to the hospital, Ron's world shattered. He couldn't save his brother, and the guilt of feeling powerless stayed with him long after Clint's recovery. The weight of almost losing Clint was a burden that never fully lifted. The loss of Cindy Williams, a final reminder. In early 2023, Ron received news that struck him to his core. Cindy Williams, the actress who had been his co-star in American Graffiti, passed away suddenly. The loss was a painful reminder of the fragility of life and the fleeting nature of time. Cindy had been a source of light and warmth during Ron's early years in Hollywood, and her death left a void in his heart. The grief was compounded by the fact that he hadn't stayed in touch with her in recent years. He never had the chance to express how much her friendship had meant to him. The loss of Cindy reminded Ron of the importance of cherishing the people who matter most, as life can change in an instant. A life well lived, finding peace amidst the chaos. In 2026, Ron Howard stands at the age of 71, having survived the storms of both Hollywood and life. With a net worth of nearly $200 million, Ron has built a legacy that includes Imogen, entertainment, a string of successful films, and a family that remains close despite the challenges they've faced. His home, a 32-acre estate in Greenwich, reflects the calm dignity that he has cultivated over the years. The relentless pursuit of success that once defined his life has given way to a quieter, more peaceful existence. Ron now enjoys the simple pleasures of life: morning walks with his wife Cheryl, time spent with his children and grandchildren, and quiet moments of reflection. He has given away millions to charitable causes, but perhaps the greatest gift he has found is peace, a peace born from the realization that the true measure of a life well lived is not in accolades or wealth, but in the love and connections we cultivate along the way.